Have you ever thought about packing up your house and moving across the country to live your dream as a singer and a dancer? What about spending 3 days reenacting a historic wagon train route in the Pacific Northwest? Well, if you've ever thought about that, we've got someone here who's going to help you get the courage to boss up and live your life's wildest dreams. Her name is Linda Lochard, and she truly is living bigger, better, and bolder. Welcome to Boss Up Goddess. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and I interview trailblazing women, literally, who help us all live bigger, better, and bolder. Now, you may remember Linda Lochard as our latest author here at Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, because this is her amazing book inspired by one of her life adventures, Life Along the Applegate Trail. It's a novel, a Western romance novel inspired by her real life experience on a wagon train. So excited for Linda Lockhart to join us here today to talk about how to reinvent yourself and live your life's wildest dreams. Welcome, Linda.
Hi, good to be here.
So excited to talk with you, especially about how you were a champion tomahawk thrower, but we'll get to that in a minute. So,
Don't
for
make me
anybody,
mad.
don't make you mad. I won't. So you're coming to us live from Southern Oregon, and that's where your book takes place, partly. And you just really go for what you want to do. I love that boldness and that courage. So, Linda, can you take us back to 1998 when that started your whole journey to live your dream as a singer and dancer, crossing the United States to live your dream?
Yes, well, in 1998, when I took off and changed my lifestyle and changed my living arrangements, went through a divorce, and I left the area and I had a job to go to. It was doing tourism in Southeast Arizona. I didn't know at that time that I was going to end up on the stage again. And I had spent many years on stage in high school and through, different classes after that. And so I liked being on stage. I could be whoever I wanted to be. And when I got to Arizona, it just worked out that I started booking shows and doing backup singing and playing the tambourine and jumping around and dancing on stage, which I loved. And ended up doing it for 3 years.
Wow.
Traveled across the country. Summertime, we spent mostly in the Pacific Northwest, where it wasn't quite as hot. And
Mhm.
time we did Arizona and New Mexico and some of those places. So it was really fun. I don't have a great singing voice, but I could do backup. I could tell jokes with the best of them,
Uh-huh.
keep a story together, keep a stage together, did the design work on the stage, did the costumes. So it was stuff that I had done before. And I thought, why not?
And
And
it started at a crossroads. I mean, obviously, divorce is a major crossroads in life. So you were like, okay, I'm just going to do this now, right? What's that
right,
like when you think that?
it's scary. But I think with anything that we do, it has to be organic from the beginning, but then it also has to be intentional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was very scared because it was a different part of my life. My children were all grown, and I decided it was my turn.
Yay! I love that so
That's what I
much. Oh my
did.
gosh. So you actually produced an album. Were you living in an RV or you were traveling a
Oh,
lot,
yeah.
right?
I had a home. I built a home in Arizona.
Uh-huh.
Actually built a home out on 5 acres and
Mm-hmm.
it's snake crossing. I mean, after all, we're in Arizona, there's snakes, right?
Great.
And the only thing missing from it, and it could have looked just like Taco Bell, was we needed a big bell hanging out front.
Oh,
It was very,
really?
but it was a beautiful home, and we put a lot of work into it. So we lived there, and then we would go off 6 weeks at a time with the motorhome. And I love
Oh, who's
living.
we? We?
My partner,
Oh, okay, okay. So you traveled together, performed together?
right? Right.
Wow, that's exciting. Oh my gosh. And you were booking shows, you were telling jokes, you were singing and dancing in costumes. That sounds like a ball. Was
I
it
thought I was a
fun?
vaudeville act. We did 3 different shows. We did a country show, country western show. We did a 50s show.
Uh-huh.
We did the Rat Pack show. So
Oh, I love it.
we did the ball gowns and suits and all of that for the Rat Pack show. And then the 50s, we wore 50s things. And, just depending on the show, just had a great time with it. Shows were 2 hours long. They
Uh-huh.
in the evening, we played to a lot of retirees. And so it was done early in the evening. And then the next morning we were out on the golf course.
Oh my gosh, another exciting venture for golf lovers. What?
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot of
That is
fun.
awesome. And it happened at a phase of your life where, circumstances were such that it was easy to go, but it's also a time when you become an empty nester that people settle down sometimes. So you did the opposite. You went on this grand adventure. So what were some revelations you had, and what's some advice you have to others who might decide, hey, I just want to pick up and go? Maybe after the pandemic is over, but what if they want to live this kind of adventure as well? What do you
Well,
recommend?
one of the things that I think is really important is you have to be able to let things go. You have to be able to get up and pick up and leave a lot of the physical things behind you if you want to live that kind of lifestyle,
Hmm.
which at that time I did. I was ready to go. Later on, I thought, well, that was foolish.
Do you mean like
Yeah,
furniture and stuff,
yeah, things,
cars?
things, just things.
Uh-huh.
Like leaving my family, my children, but they were already grown and they were off going to college and doing different things too. So, like I said, it was my turn, and there were things that I didn't really have any need to cling to any longer. So it kind of felt good to kind of refresh and
Uh-huh.
off your shoulders and say, yeah, I worked for 30 years just to buy all this stuff, but I'm not going to, it's not going to make me who I am. I don't need it.
I love it. Love it. Love it. That's
I
awesome.
left it behind. I got rid of it. I packed up a bunch of it, and then I still got rid of a bunch of it later on. So
Uh-huh.
I
How
think every time you
liberating.
move in your life, it's time to shed something. It's like an animal shedding a skin. You have to do that.
Uh-huh.
Look for something new out in front of you, and you can't see it if you're always looking back.
Wow. 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 Okay. So that's one piece of advice. Be ready to leave things behind.
Right.
What
The other
else? What
thing was, like I said earlier, I think be organic in your thinking about what you want out of your life.
mm-hmm.
It's different.
Mm-hmm.
What's been helping me a lot in the last couple of years, and especially during the writing of the book, was having a vision board, which is right behind me.
Oh, I love it. Uh-huh.
Um, so it gives me impetus every time I look at it. Well, there's something else on there I need to finish, or there's something else on there I need to start.
Mm-hmm.
And it became very important. So to be organic, but to be also, like I said, intentional.
Mm-hmm.
You move forward, things that you want to do. It's what you want to do. It's not anybody else's concern or anybody else's business. As long as taking care of your family and you're not hurting anyone, move forward. To be intentional.
Yes. Oh, I love it. And then how did you feel when you were doing it? Did you feel elated, free, excited?
I felt all of those things, and I felt terrified sometimes
Oh, why?
because, courage is one step ahead of fear. Um, you're trying new things. There's no guarantees, but I did feel lighter. I did feel, but at times I felt sad because some of the things I was leaving behind. But it was intentional for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're going to do this now because you need to make sure that you feel good about yourself and you're not afraid anymore. You can't live your life in fear.
Mm-hmm.
Get up and go for it. And you get hurt or you get scared, keep moving.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Did you have any revelations about yourself in the midst of that?
Yes. And we talked about those, I think, the last time we talked, and that is that I'm a strong person. I'm also compassionate. So I think you need both of those things in order to move forward, because you have to remember you're always going to leave somebody else behind, and that's not going to feel good.
Wow.
But I felt like I could set a goal and I could get there. And that's just been, again, that's been very helpful with my book being finished.
Mm-hmm.
Italy, which was one of my things I wanted to do. So
Mm-hmm.
being very intentional.
Wow, Linda, there's such a tremendous parallel between that story and life along the Applegate Trail, because the families that you portray in the mid 1800s along this trail, going for 6 months out into the Pacific Northwest to settle in Oregon, they left things behind. They left family, furniture, homes, lives. They were going into the unknown. And so it's really a similar theme. And you went on this trail 31 days of the 51-day reenactment to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Oregon Trail and the Applegate Trail. And so, what were some similarities to these two major adventures that you had?
Well, planning, number one, you're planning on what you're going to take with you. And you think you're going to get to the other end with it, and maybe you will, and maybe you won't. That happens, still happens now. You know, you make a plan and you kind of have to go back and rework it at times. That was a definite similarity. The other similarity was on the wagon, you didn't know where you were going. You know, you didn't know what it was going to look like. You didn't know what kind of job you were going to have. You didn't know where you were going to live. And it's the same way when you pick up and leave to go to a different state or a different life, and you don't know what's waiting for you. You have a guesstimate, you hope, but it's all by chance.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's fascinating. So many people aren't cool with change or uncertainty, but really life is uncertain, and the pandemic certainly has shown that to all of us. So, Linda, can you describe the whole uh, um, wagon train experience? Like, you were really on a wagon pulled by horses, not oxen or ox,
Yeah.
like in the book in the 1800s. But what was that like? You literally were on this wooden bench being pulled by horses with all your worldly possessions, your food, your water, no shower. What was it like?
Well, I had the best of both worlds because I did know where we were going to camp at night. You know, even though we were going to camp in our wagons or along with the group, we still know where our food was coming from, and it was coming every day, and it was coming several times a day. And sometimes people would meet us on the side of the road and hand up food to us. Of course, the pioneers didn't have that. You know, they didn't know where their next meal was coming from. They didn't know what the next hill would hold. If it would be full of blackberry bushes, so they couldn't drive across the top of the mountain, or you know, there were going to be wild animals keeping them from the water or whatever it was. Now we know that, you know, when we're moving, we have some idea. We've got enough money in our pocket to stop at McDonald's or whatever we can eat.
Uh,
But being on the wagon train was a set of freedom for me because I did know, you know, the basics were going to be taken care of. But it was also, it slowed down life. It just slowed it down to 3 miles an hour. That's the way we crawl. That's the way we rolled.
3 miles an hour. What is that?
Well, let me tell you, if you're walking, that's very fast because by the end of the day, you're tired and you're 3 miles an hour, you know, to keep it up day after day after day across whatever terrain you're going across gets to be a real burden. And we don't have that. We get in the car and we point it in the right direction or get our GPS set and away we go.
Mm-hmm.
And always worry about not getting a flat tire and keeping gas in it.
Right.
Different in a wagon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The seat is hard and it's bumpy if you're riding in the back. If you were a child and you got to ride in the back, it was very bumpy. In fact, the wagons were so bumpy that they would hang a bucket of milk under the wagon and it would churn into butter.
What? That's in the book.
Yeah.
But you know, it was really treacherous. There were animals, there were snakes, there was weather, there was starvation, there were all kinds of hazards. And so what inspired you to take that trip?
That trip was inspired because in 1993, when the Oregon Trail was celebrating its sesquicentennial, which is its 150th year, I had set up several events being the director of tourism at the time. And one of them was to have this wagon train coming through town. Well, several of the people that were helping me with the event said, Linda, you need to go outside of town and get up on the wagon and come into town so that everybody can see you coming into town on the wagon.
Oh, fun.
Well, I did. I crawled up on the wagon and I could smell the horses and the people that had bathed in 4 or 5 days. And, all these people that had been on the Oregon Trail that were coming through town. And I just fell in love. I just fell in love with the whole situation. I loved going slow, and I loved hearing the wagons creak and roll along on the ground. They've got a metal rim around the wheel, and on pavement, different than it does on dirt. But people were nicer to each other, straight talking, but nicer. They took time. They weren't in a hurry. They weren't embedding all these other things into their brain at the same time. They were just trying to make sure that they got from point A to point B safely and that their animals were safe. And then, I learned a lot just in that 2 hours that it took us to come out from the highway out into the city of Grants Pass.
Oh, wow. Fascinating.
It was just something. And then, of course, then I got more embroiled in it with my job and also with planning for the sesquicentennial for the Applegate Trail, which was in 1996. And that's the one that I went 31 of the 51 days on.
And that journey inspired the novel, which is a Western romance, which has a delightful romantic story, but it also gives you a very vivid understanding of just how rugged that experience, treacherous really it was. Yes. So talk about how the trip inspired a novel and how long it took you to write it.
Oh, it took me 25 years to write it. 75th anniversary. I started the book as soon as we finished the trail because I didn't think that anybody would believe me when I told them everything that had happened on that trail. And I made some really, really good friends. Some of them have since passed away, but made some really good friends because we were taking care of each other out there. Know each other pretty thoroughly. Forgot where I was going with that.
Oh, 25 years to write the book, and why a novel? Why a romance?
Well, there's a good thing right there, my memory. So, I was afraid that if I let it go any longer, I wouldn't remember anything. So no, 13 chapters in the first 24 years. But I was working all the time, and I didn't have the time to do what I needed to do. And so I waited until last August, and then of course, good old pandemic came along, and I was no longer working. And so I had time off, and I took that time off and started writing, and just, as you know, put my head down and went for it.
Yes, you sure did. Oh my goodness.
So from August until December, I gave myself that much time, which was 4.5 months or 4 months till the end of December to finish the book. So I wrote 17 chapters in that 4 months, and then started the publishing portion of it, as you well know, and had it for release on March 8th. I wanted to release on March 8th because that was Women's History Day. Also, it was my mother's birthday in March, not the 8th, but in March. And she was my impetus for finishing this book. She passed away a year before that, but she was a tough lady in her own right, but very, very compassionate, and she just worked really hard. And she was always a real big supporter of me when I was writing. When I was writing slowly in the beginning, she would say, "What's the next chapter?" And when we get she'd come to my house, I would pull out a chapter for her, and she would read it. And my mother loved romance novels just like I do. So that was very cool to have your own mom reading that. So she was a big part of the reason I chose March for it to be released, and the release dates that we picked.
And it has been a very popular book in your area because people love Oregon history, and they love you, and they're giving tons of praise for the book. And you have some events coming up. So Linda, can you share where people can meet you to get your book?
Yes. On Sunday, May 2nd, which is 2 weeks, week from this weekend, I will be at Pascal Winery in Talent, Oregon from 2 to 4
Uh-huh.
signing. And I've just been out there and looked at the place, and it's just absolutely stunning.
Wow.
So many changes since the last time I was out there. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2 weeks later on May 15th, which is a Saturday, I will be in Grants Pass at Oregon Books and Games Store. And I will be right at the bookstore. So depending on the weather, we'll be inside or out, but we'll be doing it at Oregon Books and Games.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And you've arranged it so that it's socially distanced and the numbers are really going down out there, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
everything is done by socially distancing and mask.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Excellent. That's really fun. The book is also available in hardcover, paperback, and ebook on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and other online retailers. So if you can't make it to Oregon for Linda's book signings, you can sure get the book online.
That's right. Yeah, don't let it stop you if you're in a different state.
It's really a fun read. I just loved editing it and publishing, and the cover is just spectacular. It's just gorgeous. I mean, it's like kind of faux leather. Vanguard Imagery did it, and it's just beautiful, just gorgeous. So shout out to Dan Swanson for your beautiful work here.
He did a great job. He did a great
Mhm.
job.
Mhm.
When Dan and I were talking about doing the book, I love journals. And so I sent him a copy of my journal.
Oh, what? Look,
Yeah.
wait. Look at that. Phenomenal. It's like
Yeah.
almost the same color. And this is
Yeah.
like a matte finish. So it's like almost leathery, but it's paper.
It feels like
Wow.
leather. But
And
I love journals, and I really like the leather. So
uh-huh.
he did.
I love your
well.
picture on here too with the tree. So
Yes.
nature is a big part of the story, obviously, in this beautiful landscape of the terrain where the trail was. So let's also dive in, Linda, your Cherokee history, your heritage, inspired you to be a champion tomahawk thrower, right? I love that.
Champion I am. But I got involved in throwing a tomahawk, and I loved it. And so, well, we called it hawk throwing. And
Hawk throwing, okay.
and one story in particular, I was in Cottonwood, Arizona. We were singing on stage, and the way the shadow was, I had taken my tomahawk on stage. My dance partner and my singers didn't know that, but there was a fly, and the audience could see this fly. So I am tripping around behind with this tomahawk.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, it created a real fun time. But I ended up meeting the Cherokee man that was going to adopt me that night. And he's from the Cherokee tribe out of Oklahoma, out of the Tahlequah, which is where my mother was from. And somebody from the stage asked if there was anybody out in the audience that threw a hawk. And the man said, "Yes, I do." Long story short, we met later that evening. The next morning, he adopted me.
Oh,
So
chills. Oh my
anyway,
goodness.
I used to go to the Mountain Men rendezvous and throw the tomahawk just for fun, just for fun. But I had a big hawk block, which was a big round of wood in my backyard in Arizona, and I would go out there and practice. But I had lots of room. Here, I've got a 6-foot backyard. I don't think I should be throwing it around.
No.
Neighbors probably wouldn't like it.
I don't think so.
It's a lot of fun, and people don't make you mad when you're throwing a tomahawk. I mean, they try to stay on your good side. Bad joke. Bad joke.
Linda, it's actually a sport, right? And it's actually a
Yes.
specific skill with like certain targets you're supposed to reach, right?
Right.
Can you describe
Right.
it, please?
Well, a hawk target that we used was a round, like you cut a section out of a tree,
right.
put it up like on an easel,
Mm.
and then you would go back so many feet. And it's been a while since I've thrown, but you go back so many feet, and then there's rings on it, just like a target.
Oh.
Center ring, so that you can, So I used to practice when I got bored of standing and throwing at the target. I would turn my back to the target and run away from it, and then turn around and run at it as fast as I could, which was a lot faster then than it is now.
Oh my God.
And throw the tomahawk. And that made it more sporting.
Oh, fun. But you competed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I competed in a couple places. And then it was also knife throwing. And I didn't compete necessarily in the knife throwing part of it. I did throw a knife, but and I still got my knife and my tomahawk.
How big is it?
Tomahawk is probably 1.5 feet.
Oh, okay. And it's
Foot
got
and a half
a blade
long.
like an axe.
And
Okay.
the blade in the knife is probably 9 inches to 12 inches long with a big handle and a big blade.
Mm-hmm. So what did you like about it? Tomahawk throwing? What does
Nobody's
it
ever
make you
asked me
feel?
that question.
Oh, well, I know how it feels to shoot a gun. It's very liberating, empowering, it's like
I guess that's
you
a
feel
good
like a
word too.
boss. Is it that feeling like I
Yeah,
can
it is
do
very
this?
liberating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very liberating, especially when you hit your target. Tell everybody, do not stand behind the target.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like shooting a gun too, because you have, certain rules that you need to follow.
Right.
Be very careful when you're handling a gun, and you need to be
Mm-hmm.
careful if you're handling a tomahawk or a knife too.
Right.
It hurt
Right.
you.
Right.
But like so many sports, a lot of them can hurt you. But these can really give you owies. I mean, that would stick with you a long time. That's not a good thing to say, stick with you, but it's liberating. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And I just want to say, nobody at home should be trying to do this. Just
Do not try this in your own kitchen.
No, this is a professional sport that's regulated, and you get specific training on all the safety first, just like with any other weapon. So please do not try to do this at home. Linda's
Yeah,
a trained professional.
yeah,
And so that's the disclaimer here.
yes, exactly.
Hmm.
Like I said, the Mountain Men Rendezvous were the places that I normally did it, which was good.
Hmm. Hmm.
We didn't do it at powwows or anything like that. It was only done at rendezvous.
And so did you win prizes or trophies or
I think
awards?
one Mother's Day I won a flower.
I love it.
I never got into any of those big types of competition. It was just, more for people that I knew and that were at the rendezvous. And a couple of the gals that were handling the team of horses on the wagon train also, they're the ones that got me involved in it. And they were very good at it.
Oh, wow. See, it's so cool to hear that women are doing this. That's fascinating. It's just not something you think of as a feminine sport, but I love how you shatter that. It's awesome.
It's funny because one of the groups that I belong to, I won't give their name or anything, but they think it's hilarious that I throw a tomahawk. And of course they make comments sometimes when we're talking in the meetings, and I tell them, just don't make me mad. So I say that with tongue in cheek, and
Right, of course.
it's all done in fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I just love your spirit, Linda. You live an adventure every day. You've created this wonderful legacy for your life with these, first your cross-country trip as a singer and a dancer, then your Oregon Trail, Applegate Trail experience, and your tomahawk throwing championships. And it's just fascinating. I just love it so much. So what's next?
I start golf lessons next week.
Okay.
And then I'm back to my dance lessons or my dance class the first week of May, and we're starting out with bachata.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
so
haven't danced for a
fun.
while, so I'm real excited about that.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great exercise too.
Well, I did belly dancing for a while.
Oh, of course you did. I mean, what?
But here's the deal. There's a mirror in front of me, and my head is telling me that my body's moving, but when I'm looking in the mirror, nothing's moving. That I'm not doing something right. So it's time for a different style of dancing.
Uh-huh. Oh, it's so fun. I love it. Oh, it's awesome. All right, Linda. So, please tell people where they can find you online.
Oh, okay. Online, I'm on my Facebook page at Linda Lochard Author on Facebook.com. You can also write to me at my email, which is onestoryteller0@gmail.com. And that's pretty much it.
So I'll put that in the description box so people can
Mhm.
find it.
And I've got my book is in 5 different stores
Locally.
online with barnesandnoble.com as well as amazon.com.
It's really amazing because people love Oregon history. So the stores in Lindastown in Southern Oregon, they eagerly have stocked the stores with their book because, you know, everybody just loves the whole story of how people settled the land, and it's really fascinating. So
They also
highly,
love the cover of the book.
they do.
Yes, they love the cover
Mhm.
of the book. The stores do. And so, again, another kudos to Dan and Darlene because they did a wonderful job on that book cover.
Yes, yes. And I love the way that Darlene laid out the inside with the like the cream colored paper, and the font is really just, it's just beautiful. Oh, and you know what? You have that awesome map at the beginning too, which is
Yes.
gorgeous. Let me see if I can find it. I just love how you had this. It gives like a really historic feel, and the fonts are just super fun and consistent with the sort of historic feel of the book. And it's just wonderful, Linda. Congratulations. A lot of people talk about writing a book and they never do it. So that's a huge life accomplishment. Huge.
I'm pretty excited about it. And one of the things that I'm really excited about, I haven't talked with you about, is that I went to Portland this weekend to see my grandchildren.
Oh,
And my 12-year-old granddaughter said to me, I went online to look you up. And she said, I looked you up and you already have a review. The next day, I saw my 21-year-old granddaughter and she said, Grandma, you've already got 3 reviews. This is so awesome. And I have a niece that called and said, I can't believe I have an aunt who's written a novel. So it's really wonderful to have friends and people, you know, that are enjoying the book and purchasing the book. But what really feeds my heart is my family buying it
oh,
and taking the time to say something to me about it.
oh.
And that has been really the best part.
Oh, that's awesome. I just want to soak that in. That's amazing. I hope that inspires other people to write their book, because I think everybody should write a book and share your story, leave a legacy, you know, enjoy that accomplishment. Wow, that's beautiful, Linda. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking me.
You're welcome. Is there anything else you'd like to say about reinventing yourself and living your life streams?
No, I just think if you have something in your mind that you think is in the back of your head and you think I'm never going to do it, so you just keep pushing it aside and pushing it aside, stop, you know, and pay attention to it because I can't tell you what it's done for my confidence.
Oh,
You know, to know that I actually finished this job and did it and finished on my trip to Italy. And, you know, so now I've got a whole new list of things to do next week. I
I
mean,
love it.
I played golf, but I'm not good at it at all.
Oh,
I want to be good at it,
okay, okay.
but I want to still enjoy it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wonderful, Linda. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This is amazing.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
You're welcome. And thank you, all of you, for joining me tonight with Linda Lochard, who is all about living her dreams, making life an adventure, bossing up to the courage, overcoming the fear, and doing it anyway, and having a great time while planning the next adventures. So, thank you for watching Boss Up Goddess. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, and Linda Lochard truly is a trailblazer, literally. She wrote the book about it. And so, please do like, share, subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear what you thought about Linda's story. And if you have any questions, please do write them out on the comments here. Check out the description box so you can learn where to get her book and check out her Facebook page. And please do also follow me on Twitter at Elizabeth Atkins. And remember, boss up, goddess. You have the power. I'll see you next time.